wait.
Oh, it's GORP. It's GORP. We're back again. Calm down, though. Everybody relax. You might have noticed that things are looking spooky or silly. Some kind of S to keep up with the alliteration. My name is Josh. Welcome back to GORP. GORP stands for Goblins Only Read Politics. Kind of a throwback to last year. It's a little acronym? I don't know. Anyway, today we're talking Halloween. This is Halloween part 2. And it's nice to know that we have been on for a year. We've been on for longer than since last Halloween. However, this is a big holiday for me. Halloween episode last time was one of my favorite episodes. And we have a special guest today. It's Palmer. Palmer's here. Welcome, sir.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. Old Palmer here is a friend from the military days when we were all children.
Many moons.
And, yeah, been a pleasure to have you back in
I appreciate it, man.
graces, to see your face. Nice to see your smiles. I'm not sure where Brooke went. We
We're used to
were all
setbacks
going to
and-
reminisce together, but Brooke's not here. She'll pop back in whenever she gets a chance.
Yes,
We're talking
sir.
about Halloween. Can you get your first thoughts? Like, what's this costume you got on here? What are you going for?
It's like a throwback to Afghanistan, almost, without being overly
Throwback to
disrespectful.
Afghanistan.
It's not my intent.
All right, well,
Or
that's
maybe like a
diaper,
Mother
not
Teresa
towel.
vibe looking going on. I'm not really sure.
Yeah,
Just
it's
kind of
better.
feeling some like Mother Teresa vibes. Possibly.
I'm very Eyes Wide Shut vibes / Dia de los Muertos.
Well, see, I was getting
How do you feel
Venice
about
vibes
Halloween?
from the. I love Halloween.
Ooh, some Venice, some Carnivale. Yeah. So go back into your Halloween vibes. So what's your feelings on Halloween as a holiday, etc.?
I love Halloween. It's one I've kind of just recently rediscovered. I kind of
Rediscovered, you say?
Yeah, well, there was like a period of time where I was just kind of bleh on all the holidays, like Christmas, Halloween, New Year's. It was like, all right,
Yeah,
it's just another
that's
day.
PTSD. It'll do it.
Yeah, yeah. But now after lots and lots of therapy, I'm like, hey, holidays can be fun again.
Halloween and holidays in general can be fun.
Yeah.
You can't just have a bad Christmas every year. Halloween, you're going to have some boring ones, and you're going to have some good ones. And you got some children, don't you?
I do. 9 and 6. It'll be 7 7 right after Christmas. So
you're going to have some parental perspectives for the show, for the pod. Parental perspectives for the pod. That's the PPP. Okay, let's get into our first topic. Glad we're having Halloweens again. The receptacle is the candy pot, the jack-o'-lantern. The topic is the king of Halloween. So that's a weird topic. Basically, when did you feel like the king of Halloween? Or maybe just simply, when was the best Halloween for you, where you just felt like this was the holiday for you, great night, etc.?
Oh, man. I was probably a kid.
Of course.
Because I remember Now I'm going back a ways, but yeah, no, my grandma made me a green Power Ranger costume, like complete with the gold shoulder pads and all that. I was just like, yep, this is it for me. Like, this is my shit. I could have been more than like 9 or 10, maybe, if that.
Yeah.
But it always kind of stuck. I was like, man, that was hands down my favorite costume. Because I feel like after that, everything was just kind of like thrown together and half-assed. Like, because my next memory is just like, I'm just gonna throw a scary mask on and call it a day. Like, there wasn't really any thought behind it.
So,
it was just like, I'm gonna go buy a scary mask from the store, throw it on my head, and call it a night. Go around and get some candy.
We had a similar story from me last year. I had talked about how, like, we didn't have the most money every year,
right?
So it was kind of thrown together most of the time. So most of my childhood, I was a ghost, which was a little white boy in a white sheet with the eye holes cut out.
Yep.
Not a great look, but it was the South, and no one really thought about that. It was anyway.
And if they did think about it, they didn't give a shit. Yeah.
Yeah,
Classic.
sometimes it's thrown together, but sometimes it's planned out really well. How did you say grandma made it? Was it pretty accurate? Because my grandma made me a Superman cape, and it wasn't exactly right on. Brooke's back.
It was
Oh,
pretty dead on. She had a keen eye for detail.
that's pretty great.
So
Brooke, we're
when my
talking
mom
about
told her,
oh, sorry, Brooke. We're talking about King of Halloweens and best costumes, best times, maybe the best Halloween you ever had. Then Mr. Palmer says he's got the Green Ranger when he was a kid. Grandma made the costume for him. Probably the best costume ever.
yep. And my brother was the Red Ranger, and the Green Ranger totally kicks the Red Ranger's ass. So there's that.
Yeah. See, I was a big Red Ranger guy, but I do not deny the Green Ranger does kick the ass with that. Yeah, see, yeah. You know, I remember I rewatched recently our Halloween episode last year, and Brooke, you always told us how you and your mom made a big deal about these costumes, and you take it to this day. To this day. Anything updates since last year? You have a championship type of costume you want to reveal, or
so many of them? But I still think that the best one was like she made us like a storm. I think I talked about this last year in the podcast as well. She like cut out these styrofoam storm clouds and lightning bolts, and that was our the school that had just consolidated. They had made their motto, or I guess their, what is it, like their mascot, the storm. So I'm from the Bureau Valley Storm. That's our like high school mascot, and that's still like to have that vision. Like now as an adult, I'm like, I'll just probably buy some, I don't know, something kind of cool, but then zhuzh it up a little. But this was like, there was so much that she put into it. It's chef's kiss.
Well, don't you feel like you've gotten recently back into what are you calling it? Upselling, upscaling,
upcycling. Yeah,
upcycling. I feel like you could do a lot of things. Maybe not this year because of the short notice, but
still there.
You could have some real great costumes going. Anyway, all right, let's move forward.
Yeah,
I'm sure Brooke will pop back.
And I think this year my son's really big into Sonic the Hedgehog, so I think I'm going to try and do something to match him.
Isn't that cool? Sonic the Hedgehog. Like when I was a little kid, my brother was big on Sonic, and now it's all the way back around.
Yeah, well, because I remember when he first found it, he was like, "Daddy, watch this cool show called Sonic." I'm like, "Sonic the Hedgehog?" He was like, "Yeah." I was like, "That's not new, my guy." I was like, "I grew up watching that."
Hey, my guy.
My guy. Yeah. My guy.
Just verbally berated your son.
Yeah. We got him a Knuckles costume for Halloween this year, so I think I'm gonna be like a Dr. Robotnik or something, or find some kind of matching, which works out well because I'm a huge Jim Carrey fan.
Oh yeah, I've actually never seen his rendition of Mr. Eggman or Dr. Robotnik.
Really? You're missing out. I mean,
no, I never get a chance.
I think obviously it's easy to say after watching it that Jim Carrey was like perfect for the part, but he did a really good job with it.
Yeah, so, I can see that.
If you ever have the chance, and you've got like an hour or two to kill one day, turn it on.
I will watch it.
It's a pretty good movie.
I might have to do it so I can review it for the other podcast with you. Popcorn and beers. Moving on. Talking about some Halloweeny movies. Do you have any? Do you have any like must-haves, must-see TVs for? You don't have to keep the
original Exorcist.
It's not working out for you.
Yeah, it's my son's blanket, and it's just a whole hot mess.
Yeah, it smells like butt.
But no,
the original Exorcist.
Yes, like the theatrical version, not like the extended version. There's just something about the original theatrical version to me that feels like it's a lot scarier. And
you find it scary still?
Oh yeah.
Interesting.
It doesn't give me nightmares or anything, but it's still, I think it's scary.
I didn't watch it as a kid because my parents were very puritanical in that small way, with movies and TV shows. But no hate. I'm just saying I didn't watch Exorcist when I was a kid.
Yeah, no, my
And as
parents
an
were pretty
adult, I
fucking liberal when
finally
it came to that
watched
kind of
it.
stuff.
I finally watched Exorcist, and I thought it was the dumbest thing I ever saw. But I think it's just because I wasn't raised on it, and it's been spoofed so many times that it's like, okay, yeah, you're doing the thing with the head and the pea soup, and like none of it was like I'd seen it so many times in cartoons and movies and spoofs. Like so I feel like I missed out on Exorcist.
Yeah, and I had that same experience with Citizen Kane. Everybody was like, "Oh, Citizen Kane's the greatest movie ever made." I thought it was the dumbest piece of. It was a way. It was a time I'm never going to get back. I did not. I don't know why people thought that was a good movie.
It's like when your friend makes you listen to a really old hip hop album. Like, dude, it's over.
Now, how are we defining old?
Well, I mean, I don't know. But it's like hip hop. It started out in the park, and me and my friends are coming out and doing breakdancing. Apologies to Hannibal Buress for that.
The '80s, like late '70s, early '80s type.
I mean, I'm not saying there's like Slick Rick still vibes. There's still '80s. There's still '80s MCs that rock it, '70s MCs that rock it, but mostly like a whole album as a concept, not really going to hit the same levels as perhaps like a Kendrick Lamar type album. Like we have Kendrick Lamar now, so we're not going to bother with this anymore. That's over. You know what I mean? Anyway, Brooker, what you think about them movies?
So I think one of my favorite, I don't know if you would call it a Halloween movie, but I always watch it around Halloween, is Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice. Halloween movie?
That's one of my favorite movies in general, so I just watched it a lot more.
7 foot, 8 foot bunch. Yeah.
No, Beetlejuice is totally a Halloween movie.
Also, Hocus Pocus. Can we all just get behind
Hokey Pokey? I love Hokey Pokey so much. Like, I still haven't seen the sequel. I'm going to watch it this week.
Hocus Pocus has grown on me. My wife's a huge Hocus Pocus fan, so she watches it every year. Yeah. Every day. At least.
It's so 90s, so camp.
Very.
It's good. And honestly, like, from a design state of mind, like, textbook Halloween vibe, it nails the aesthetic in every way.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
The stupid comedy, the half spooky, the 100-year-old curse, all that shit, all the stupid practical effects, and yeah, it's good. Real good stuff.
And the characters are just timeless. Like you can't. Everybody knows who the Sanderson sisters are.
Yeah,
that's a broad statement. I don't think everybody knows who the Sanderson sisters are.
They ought to. They better.
They should.
What about the cat with a strangely transatlantic accent?
Yeah, it's like. Although I'm embarrassed at how long it took me to realize that the guy that plays McGee in NCIS was oh shit, what's that dude's name?
The young mouth boy?
No, the one that got turned into a cat.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he was the cute guy. The cute at the end he transforms
from like the 1600. Yeah.
No, in the beginning he was a human. Yeah, that's what it is.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. It took me forever to realize that. I was like, oh shit, that's McGee from NCIS.
Huh. Well, of course you wouldn't know that until you rewatched, Hokey Pokey.
Well, because I never watched Hocus Pocus as a kid. I was like, I'm too cool
go ahead and Google that.
I don't know the actor's name, but I know who it is because once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it. I'm like, oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you see it?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I'm big time about The Crow. I love The Crow, and I love how bad it is, and I love how revolutionary it is. Like, by today's standards, there's a lot of things that are being used. The tools of that movie are being used today here and there. But I love watching that movie because it's always raining for no reason. In the middle of it, the Crow just plays like a rooftop guitar solo because he's so sad. It's like so grungy. They play like Alice in Chains and stuff where it does not belong in the movie, but it's like, this is the soundtrack, and real corny henchmen, corny bad guys, corny speeches. We don't really even explain what the Crow can do. Like, he just magically can heal you of heroin addiction. That's strange, but whatever. Cool. That's fine.
See, I don't know, because I watched it a couple of months ago. I felt like it still held up pretty well. I
it
can
still
watch this.
does hold up. Like it's actually kind of a beautiful movie. You can tell how old it is, but you can also tell that Hart is in it, and not Kevin Hart. Like, it has heart, and
yeah.
I don't know. I think it's still a beautiful film that needs to be remade for the modern time.
Well, I think
that's my Halloween.
I feel like they did make not maybe not a exact remake, but maybe it was about Edgar Allan Poe. I don't know.
Oh yeah, Poe had a movie. Well, there's been 3 or 4 Crow movies, and they tried to reboot it with Aquaman. What's his name? Momoa.
Jason Momoa.
Yeah,
that fell into development hell, so it's not happening. He would have been a great Crow, though. I could buy that. He's like the same size, kind of, as Brandon Lee. Anyway, that was Halloween movies. Moving on, it's GORP.
That's a big one.
The Great Pumpkin. Now, as we all know, Halloween is coming up, and the Great Pumpkin is growing currently. When he's ready, he will roam the streets freely and skip and hop and bless the children and all of us with our Halloween wishes. So, when the Great Pumpkin comes, what are you looking forward to most? Let's start with Brooke.
So last year I had a little ordeal with the Great Pumpkin, but this year I think I'm ready to come to terms with the fact that the Great Pumpkin doesn't really like me, and it's a little out of character. But last year I asked for like a ton of blessings, and instead of blessings, I've been stressed. But this year I think I'm asking the Great Pumpkin to simply provide me with the souls that I need to eat in order to become more of a goddess, because I found that eating souls actually helps me just live my best life. And so now I'm looking to just further my development into a goblin mode where I do nothing but eat souls.
You want to be a little goblin hag witch. I feel that. And you know, like, there comes a time, that's why we hear about so many goblins and hags and witches throughout history or lore of history, whatever. They found the easy route, you know, the quick fix and the get rich quick schemes and the live forever curses. You just gotta, submit yourself to the great gods. And of course, we all know the Great Pumpkin is an elder god that is rebirthed every Hallows Eve.
Every Hallows Eve.
Yeah, I appreciate that. What do you think about Palmer? What you got for the Great Pumpkin this year?
I don't know, honestly, because I never really gave it a lot of consideration, to be honest with you.
That is alarming, because the people who don't regard the Great Pumpkin as a respectable being, they get the worst of it. They get a lot of Reddit hate. They get a lot of coupons that are negative coupons that are applied.
They get forwarded chain mail.
Chain mails?
That might explain the influx of emails I've been getting.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to seek salvation.
Seek salvation? No, you can't. Elder gods don't allow salvation. I'm sorry. It's just too late.
They're not
you have
benevolent,
to do a
forgiving gods.
Quell it. It'll be a 7-year quelling. About almost a pint. Don't do a full pint, or else it'll be ruined. Just almost a pint of blood.
Too much. Right.
Not too much.
But
too much is offensive.
Too much is offensive.
Fair. That tracks.
I just asked the Great Pumpkin this year. I was just hoping for the last episode on DVD of every Star Trek installment. I want to watch the last episode of all of them. And I thought that no other holiday deity could do that for me. Santa Claus is not interested. Asshole! Anyway, let's move on.
That's because of the beef Santa Claus has with Star Trek, you know.
Santa Claus beef in Star Trek? Because he was featured in the first series of Star Trek, and it wasn't in a good light.
Right.
I was always told Santa Claus was a Star Wars guy.
No, I'm with Star Wars too. It's just you have to like both or Star Trek. You can't just like Star Wars. Let's grow up, kids. Next up, we have, what does it say?
Upside down decorations.
Decorations. Are you guys decorating your front porches, etc.? You getting ready for the trick or treaters?
Oh, yeah.
What do you got in mind?
Yep.
Can I curse on this one?
Yeah. Sorry. Go for it.
Okay. So.
Okay.
I was going to. I really wanted to go all out, put some lights out and all this. But I happen to live a couple doors down from some like crackheads, I'm pretty sure.
Uh-oh, the Weaver. Uh-oh.
So, and also I've been slightly stalked lately, and I feel like if I decorate, it's going to like make my house even more like, hey, somebody lives here. That's me.
You think it's because of your really cool bartending job that people are following you home, or?
Yeah, kind of, but also just crazy people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who are that?
Okay, well, we're all taking care of ourselves, right? We got the bear mace on deck and all that.
Oh, we got things loaded.
Huh.
Some pew pew pew.
I'm doing some Halloween decorations. Not a whole lot, but throwing some pumpkins here and there. Just indoors, though. I'm indoor decorating.
Ooh. I like some indoor decor.
But I don't do it as heavy as one might do, like, say, Christmas or an Easter's. But I do like a little pumpkin. I do like friggin' bats. I friggin' love Halloween. You know?
Bats.
See, I feel like Halloween doesn't get the credit it deserves for decoration when compared to other holidays.
That's right.
Halloween honestly, decor is my favorite.
Halloween decor is year round if you want it to be. It's good.
Spooky is a lifestyle,
Halloween decorations than I would Christmas decorations. Any day of the week. I mean, I love Christmas decorations, but I would rather look at Halloween decorations.
That's the thing. Christmas decorations, like out of season, they make people blood rage. But Halloween is like, ooh, it's freaking bats. I love Halloween. You know.
Yeah. I just had such an experience today. We drove by someone's house a couple of houses over, and they still had Christmas lights up. They either still had them up or they'd put them up already. It is 1 October. It is not time for Christmas yet.
1 October.
It is 1 October. Excuse you.
I'm not even ready for Thanksgiving yet, much less Christmas.
Yeah, dude. Not even ready for Thanksgiving yet. All right, let's move on here. Get in the box. What does it say?
What's in the box?
What's in the box? What's up with Halloween anyway, dude? Halloweeny thoughts? How do you feel about it in general? Like, I remember pre-meeting, Ben, Mr. Palmer, you were talking about you had a Halloween lull for a while, but was it hot for you as a kid? Because for me, my big thing, like,
I loved it as a kid.
As Halloween's coming, ever since I was a kid, it's like there's a magic in air, like more so than Christmas. Like when you're really imagine when you're like really into Christmas, which is not for everyone, but that moment when you're like into it, you can smell Christmas in the air. Even more so for Halloween, always for me. I love fall. I love the barometric pressure changing. I love the light shifting. I love the energy of the world, just like leaning to the left or the right. I love campfires outside this time of the year. I bathed in the moonlight last night. Full moon, baby. It was so spooky, so cool, lovely. I love this. I don't know. Ancient civilizations such as the Druids of the island of the UK, etc. They marked this as the closest we got to the ephemeral plane of the afterlife, the other world, whatever you want to call it. But this is the season of death starting when it's most attached to the other side. And I don't know if that's how I feel, but it might as well be. I mean, whatever you want to think, but I love this whole Halloween thing. I love it.
Yeah. Well, I've noticed the last couple of years, it's kind of ironic that the closer it gets to Halloween, the nicer people seem to be. I see it everywhere. Like the last couple of years, it's like when it's like Halloween time, everybody's as nice as can be. But as soon as like that clock starts counting down toward Christmas, the closer it gets to Christmas, the bigger the asshole they become. I'm like, do
you think maybe there's something there? Like, obviously, people are grumpy at Christmas because it's Christmas, and it's like there's a lot of stress. buying gifts
Yeah,
and stuff.
and everybody's broke.
Because Christmas doesn't have to be like that. It shouldn't have to be like that. But Halloween is where, like, nobody really cares about Halloween. If you don't want to do Halloween, you don't have to. It's so laissez-faire. Like, pumpkin spice latte, ha. Like, what? That's it. That's all you. Like, That's it. So it's like, so like, this is your moment of like fresh air right before the real holidays that are stressful. How do you feel about that?
That makes a good deal of sense.
Yeah.
This is.
I feel like there's a whole lot of like, so you talked about how it's like the season of death or whatever. It's the beginning of shedding everything you had this year, and I think it gives people the opportunity to kind of like get into their darker side, like their shadows or whatever you want to call
Introspective.
And like bring light to them and also kind of embrace them a little bit. It's like spooky season, so like all the crazy thoughts that you've ever had are being televised, and like murderous plots everybody loves watching. Like it's all of the shadows of everybody's souls being broadcasted and celebrated.
And just dressing.
And so then you come into Christmas, which is like,
yes, all the slutty kittens and shit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're embracing that little slutty shame that they've had their entire lives. But then Christmas brings out like the pride and joy and the new beginnings and
goodwill towards men.
It's so interesting that all of us as a civilization haven't like realized that, hey, we're shedding everything, we're highlighting our shadows, and then we're trying to become better. Every single year, this holiday season brings us out.
Happens every time, and it's double reinforced, wouldn't you say? I mean, maybe even especially for Americans, because America is the one that made Halloween what it currently is. Like, we really polished that knob.
We commercialized it and monetized it.
Yeah. I mean, we didn't invent trick or treat, but we made it what it is today.
Yeah.
We didn't invent demons and ghouls, but we made it what it is today, etc. Like, it's not we, because America is everyone. Everyone came here and made Halloween wacky. Right.
Like we took the trick or treat ball and ran with it.
So that's the first ball. The second ball is Turkey Day, where we are working towards let's like acknowledge the orange leaves and the dying. So it's like half Halloween, half Christmas, where we are also like working on bettering ourselves and being together as a family and building. So you have that half and half.
That's a really good prayer.
Yeah. And so the next anal bead is Christmas, and that's the build back better. And then we have New Year's Eve, which is like, yeah, of course, this is the super self-improvement holiday, followed by or in conjunction with a hangover. Halloween episodes on the TVs and such. What comes to mind?
Well,
this might sound
maybe I'll start this time.
Really cliche, but there's a Big Bang Theory Halloween episode that always makes me laugh. Yeah. Might be a really cliche, like safe answer, but
no, there's no safe answers. Like, explain. What's the catch? Or what's the catchphrase? Or what? How does it start? What? Give me something.
I mean, there's not really a catchphrase. It just kind of plays out through the entire episode. I mean, obviously Halloween, so it's Halloween themed. Like it's three of the four main protagonists just egging on the fourth protagonist because he's kind of a stick in the mud, holier than thou art. I'm smarter than you, and you're not going to scare me.
Oh, Sheldon. I think we all know who Sheldon is.
Yeah. They carry out a series of pranks. It just kind of ends, like the episode ends with him hiding under the couch cushions and jumping out and scaring. I think it's just the way they did it. It was just it's just funny, and it kind of just jumps out at me.
Yeah.
And always good for a laugh.
Well, I always go to, my first thought is always Home Improvement. I'm not sure how anyone else feels about Home Improvement, but Halloween was always a big deal on that show. And there was always fake blood and heads flying and people doing the scare pranks and then the revenge scare pranks and and then the blood is flying. There's no blood, but you know. But then I'm also reminded of The Office. The Office had such wonderful Halloween episodes, especially with Robert California. I'm fine, bitch.
Oh, I
say
forgot
that
about
line
that.
constantly. That's one of my favorite lines of all time. I'm fine, bitch.
Oh, I wish I could dress up as Robert California for Halloween. People just wouldn't get it.
Yeah, people just wouldn't get it.
I've tried to watch it, but my wife's like, the American version is not as good as the British version. I'm like, okay.
That's not even a fair consideration. Like, the American
But
version
she's
is
British,
way
so
bigger. Your wife is British? I didn't know that.
Oh
No.
yeah. I met her like right after I left Italy.
The only ones I can think of are like the Office ones, and for some reason, Gabe dressed up as Lady Gaga is just coming up really hard.
And Kevin, like, I was just hoping he could show me some dance moves. I'll never do this again. No way, Jose.
And then Angela dresses up as a slutty nurse, and she's like, "We all know what sells around here," or something like that.
Yeah. What about you guys watch a whole lot of Simpsons Halloweenies?
Not particularly.
I haven't watched Simpsons in so many years.
Oh, I have not either. But when I was a child, Simpsons Halloween episodes were like a cultural movement.
Oh
like,
yeah,
that was the thing that happened on Halloween when I was, I don't know, 10 or so. Like, I wasn't allowed to watch Simpsons, going back to the whole puritanical, you can't watch Beavis and Butthead stuff when I was a kid. But the Halloween episode was my one chance to see it. And it was actually halfway scary for a little kid like me, but also very, very funny. I like that stuff. Halloween!
Hello!
Wee!
I wish I knew more episodes, but I feel like I just watch whatever's on TV whenever it comes on. But I don't even have cable anymore.
Yeah, I don't really watch a lot of like TV because I just have streaming services. So,
well, of course, none of us really watch TV anymore. But I guess
my memory is so shot these days that
conversational topic, like, because no one in our demographic hopefully watches real old TV anymore. Anyway, next up, Too Spooky.
Too spooky.
So, particularly me, I'm not into exceptionally spooky horror. I don't do big time gore. I don't do over the top psychopath murder. And I definitely don't do bad writing. But I can be overstressed. I don't necessarily get like too scared. Like, I can go to bed just fine. But when a horror movie or show or whatever becomes stress management, I'm out. Because I don't want anxiety. I spend most of my day avoiding anxiety.
Yeah.
How much weed do I have to smoke to watch this show? You know what I mean?
See, I'm the complete opposite.
Any examples? So you don't get scared, Palmer?
Not really. I mean, aside from the bad writing, which I agree with you on.
Sure.
I love obscene amounts of gore. I love the violence. Love the psychological side of it.
Sure.
I mean, I do have a soft spot for like really bad, like D-rated, like half-assed horror movies that you just know are going to be awful. But that's more just because like they're clunky and it's like, oh, this is really bad. But no, the gorier the better. Like, I'm all about gore and jump scares and anyway they want to try and make it scary, I'm all about it. I'm not going to say it's
kind
cathartic.
of an adrenaline seeker in that regard.
That's really the only regard I would ever consider myself an adrenaline seeker. Like it's not really cathartic, but I feel like it kind of gives a voice like all the intrusive thoughts. It's like, all right, cool, I can get all my shit out watching this, and I'm good to go. So it's almost therapeutic, but not quite. If that makes sense.
What are your thoughts, bro?
Yeah.
So I'm a baby when it comes to scary movies. I used to really like them, and I used to really love like getting scared or like being able to curl up under a blanket. I used to love that stuff so much. But now, like if it has any like chasing scenes, like a woman being chased or like the rape scenes, I cannot. With
those are hard to handle, even for me. Like
I just get so anxious, like because these are things that like I'm terrified about in my real life, like on the daily. Like I close a bar down, and I'm terrified that someday somebody's going to chase me down. And
no, I feel you.
Yeah,
I totally feel you. Like, I have scared people. I have accidentally hurt people because I just get excited and want to wrestle or whatever, or I throw something and it hits their eyeball. Like, I hurt people on accident all the time, and scared people. My mom has been traumatized as a child, so like I'll just walk in and say, "Hey, mom," and she'll scream like she's being stabbed because of her past trauma. So like watching that on a movie doesn't do it for me anymore.
Yeah,
I can't handle it. The only exception is if the movie is bad, then it's now a comedy, right?
Right.
Especially if we're all watching it together. If we're all watching it together, now we're making comments. Now we're smoking weed together. We're all screaming with it. We're laughing with it. I love all that type of stuff. That's my favorite part of scary movies is we're all watching together. And because of that, we're holding hands, peeing our pants, so everyone smells like piss, and also doing a bunch of laughies. And, like one of my favorite memories is Dawn of the Dead, the 2000s version, the remake.
Right.
And they're in the mall. It's the mall movie. And they wheelbarrow in this very large woman who's dead. She's dying. She's turning into a zombie. And then comes the scene where she turns. So she gets up out of the wheelbarrow and starts running towards the people about to eat them or whatever. And my buddy stood up and he said, "That's a huge bitch!" And everybody laughed. It really broke the tensity of the situation. Stuff like that. I love all that stuff. And I do like being genuinely scared by a great plot, but not overstressed. You know what I mean? So, like, The Ring, when I was in high school, I think Hereditary is probably out of my wheelhouse,
Yeah, well, I mean, going back to what Brooke said, I mean, there are certainly certain scenes that if you're not uncomfortable by it, there's a bigger issue at play. Because, like, I mean, one of my favorite movies is I Spit on Your Grave. But there's a couple of really graphic, like, there's one except, like, particularly graphic scene where even as much as I love the movie, just because it's more of like it's like a redemption story, really. But like that scene, like, even for me, is just like, oh, this is hard to watch.
Yep.
Like it's entirely uncomfortable, but I kind of need,
it's like
force myself
that Breaking Bad
like,
episode
through it.
Like the beginning of this episode on Breaking Bad, they're just like doing the chemistry in order to melt a kid in a barrel.
Oh, yeah.
That made me stop watching Breaking Bad for like 6 months. I couldn't pick it back up for a while.
Meanwhile, I'm like, oh, this is so interesting. I didn't know that we could make chemical compounds that could break down bone and flesh.
So this is how you make meth.
On that note, now what do we got? Okay, kind of going back a little bit, but costumes. I remember I talked about last year. One of my favorite costumes that I've repeated because it's so easy and fun is being like goth rocker, hard rock dude with the fake piercings and the leather and all this stuff. That was a lot of fun. And then as a kid, I was the ghost. So Fry made fun of me for being, indirectly a KKK kid. Ha 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 ha. But one that's really stuck, I like, sometimes you want to be someone else. You want to do something else. You want to transform, but also it's also fun to just like lean into who you are, kind of. So I remember a couple years ago, it was like a low key, just a bar party, the only bar in town where I was currently at the time living. And so I just brought a hammer, like a fake toy war hammer, and I said, "Hi, I'm Fat Thor," and like that was it. I let my hair down. I just carried around the hammer. I didn't have a costume on. I just had my hair wavy and golden, and I just carried around the hammer. And then the whole town, it wasn't a big town, but everyone in town called me Thor from then on. So that was kind of fun, I suppose.
That's pretty cool.
I can see the resemblance with the lustrous mane of hair and the facial hair. I can see it.
Yeah, Fat Thor, bud.
I wouldn't have said.
What do you got? What do you guys got for costumes?
No.
Shit.
last year I got to be the Scream Boo-Face.
Right.
And that's probably one of my favorite costumes I've ever done. I went around town in Dixon here, and nobody knew who I was because I wore this mask all night long. Like, I even punched a little hole in the mask so that I could have a drink. Like,
Nice.
I did not take the mask off. There was no mask off time. And everybody was like asking me who I was, and I was just like, wouldn't you like to know? Like, I was
Then you
just
stabbed
playing
him.
into the bit the entire time and, like, grabbing people and holding them by the throat with a fake knife. Like, it was just I think I have to maybe try to do those type of costumes more, where I can
like
really, really play into, like, the bit, the role of it.
I could get into that. I've never done that before, but I feel how exciting that could be.
Yeah.
And how challenging keeping the mask up would be. That sounds great.
And
Good
it
job.
got sweaty. Like, my face,
Yeah.
I've had makeup on before, but it was, like, down my face. That's half the reason why I kept the mask on, because I was like, well, sure
Too
shit
late
not
now.
showing
Yeah.
now.
Threshold's passed.
Ew, first of all.
What'd you say, old Palmer? What'd you guys for some
I
casting?
actually had a lot of fun with my costume last year too. It was I think like Richard Simmons a la like early 1980s. Like this like hideous
Mm-hmm.
like lime green piece workout outfit with the headband
Nice.
and the mullet wig and like the knee high socks with the little black band at the top. I leaned all the way into that.
Hell
And
yeah.
of course it was on a weekday, so like I was out visiting some clients, and it's Halloween, dude.
Yeah.
Got an
It's
Elizabeth
Halloween,
spirit.
dude.
I was like, I don't ever dress up for Halloween, but I found something I felt like I would have fun with.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
good.
My
When
bosses
you
didn't
find
think it
something
was
you
that
really
funny.
want to have fun with, it's really great.
Yeah, it was just one of like we were walking through like looking for something for my kids, and I saw it. And I jokingly said something to my wife about it. And I was like, "Yeah, I should do this." She's like, "Yeah, okay, whatever." I'm like, "All right, I'm doing it," because she gets
All right.
embarrassed really easily. So if I can embarrass her, it's even better.
This is the last topic, actually.
Oh shit!
So whether this is a part 1 or a part 2, this is it. This is all the Halloweens we got. Halloween team. So we're getting a little hypothetical here. Oh, I was almost as cool as last time. So Halloween team, we're talking about, you can include family if you want. You can include kids if you want. But the whole thing is, it's a hypothetical. You have all the money you need to, all the time you need to. It's a Friday night, whatever's the most perfect moment. But what is the best Halloween, and who are you with, and what are you doing? Like, just think of the best scenario for you at the moment. So I'll start to get y'all's jugles joggling. I think I would go back to maybe when I'm around 10-ish, and I would put on my costume with some of, like, we had neighborhood friends that were all together, like the cartoons when we were kids. And I would just round them up like Mighty Ducks 2, like, hey, Quack Attack is back. And I'm in my costume, they come out with their costume, and we just ride the streets on our bikes and trick or treat and throw candy at people and maybe get into a little trouble, like throw a paint can at something and hang out at the park way too late. And that kind of aspect of Halloween, I've experienced little pieces of it here and there, but having it all at once, like the whole movie aspect of kids just doing Halloween, that would be my ideal Halloween personally. Smash a
I
pumpkin or two.
can't. I see where you're coming from, and like that is such a nostalgic memory. I love Halloween as an adult. Like, I have an adult money now. Like, I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I have like a couple of really good friends here that are pretty into like playing into a character. Like, my friend Rashad dressed up as Prince from the Dave Chappelle's
Yeah.
skit with
Yeah.
and Charlie Murphy, and it's like uncanny. He does such a good job with it. And then like my boss at my job now, Maria, she gets so into themes. And so I think my ideal Halloween would be some type of like, maybe like a carnival or some type of like fun
community thing,
adult, huh?
like a community thing, an event.
Yeah, like everybody gets to dress up, but like also we are doing like normal things that adults do, like just
Yeah,
hanging out
I'm
or
with that.
playing pool or whatever. Like I
I
just want
like all
everybody to
that.
like live in their character a little.
Oh, living in the character, that's cool. Maybe even
Yeah.
some murder mystery action. But
Mm.
maybe it's just the hooligan in me. I really am down with just wandering the streets. Like, I love
Yeah.
that shit.
Some
And
some
it's not
innocent
often you feel
mischief.
like you're allowed to do that.
Mm.
Yeah, and not even necessarily doing any mischief, just wandering the streets, especially in a costume, is pretty cool.
Yeah, like when I wear a costume, I want as many people as possible to see me in this costume. Like
Absolutely.
I
That's
want
fair.
to have, and I want to see as many people as possible in costumes, like on Halloween. Like I want to
And
see as
maybe touch
many.
bellies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of like the whole
Maybe
purpose why
touch
they're there is
bellies.
to be seen. Like they're made
Yeah,
yeah.
for
so
sure.
people can see them. You know,
Well, like
One of my favorite
with my
costumes.
creativity, and I appreciate yours too. Like that's
I mean,
Maybe
you
this
wear
should go
costumes
to
in
the
the house and
costumes
that's it.
theme, but I do remember you reminded me. One of my favorite costumes I've ever seen is one of my roommates, and he bought a double XL woman blow up doll. Like a large woman blow up doll, and he blew it up, and he just carried it around with him. Where he's wearing regular clothes, and people are like, "Hey, what are you?" And he was already hammered and a little bit coked out. So he would just start humping the large woman blow up doll, and he would laugh and say, "I'm your mom." Um, One of the greatest costumes ever. He just got so much joy
That's
out of it.
fantastic.
oh my god, that takes a lot of creativity.
Yeah, yeah, yep. But let's get to Palmer. What's your super Halloween time? What's your best Halloween you can think of right now?
This is gonna sound super cheesy and like very daddish, but I mean this was before I even had kids. So, but like when the house we lived at when I was in England, the uh some old like lifelong family friends of my wives had two little girls that basically like effectively lived with us, and so they're kind of like my pseudo kids. Like they were at my house all the time. They spent the night. I took them on base, took them shopping, fed them, all that stuff. But like
Nice.
we always did Halloween at the Americans' house because obviously I can go on base and get all the stuff that they can't really get out on the economy. But it was just there was just
Yeah,
something
Pop
about like
Tarts.
being with Pop Tarts, candy corn, Twizzlers, Coke, you name it. Yeah, I made money hand over fist selling stuff from base off base. But yeah, I don't know. There's just something about being
Nice.
surrounded by like our friends and our friends' kids who we were really close with, just like hanging out at the house, drinking, having a good time, and just like that. Yeah, it was just like it was like a big ass family. It was just like, all right, cool.
I like that.
And then like
Aw.
taking the kids trick or treating like throughout, all around the neighborhood, and then taking them on base to go trick or treating.
That's nice.
Let them get their fill of American candy, and then bring them back. And
Yeah,
it was just one of those things. Like, yeah, I could do this. This is nice. So if
nice.
money wasn't an
That's a
option,
good old Halloween.
that's what I'd be
Yeah.
doing.
I like
I was
that.
like,
I
yep,
like that.
I got
But yeah,
soft in old age.
I'm with you on the nostalgia tip and the togetherness trip. But I'm also with you, Brooke. Like with adult time is pretty dang cool too. Like I think if I'm not working, I might be working. But if I'm not, I'm probably just gonna go. Like I said, just ride my bike around town, like Hubie Halloween Adam Sandler movie, and just like explore the nighttime. It's not often that we're like allowed to do that socially, culturally
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
in America. I like that stuff.
unfortunately.
Anyway, this has been some Halloween. This has been some GORP. Welcome, Palmer. Thanks for coming on the show for
Thanks
us.
for having us. And
Oh
having
yeah,
me
yeah.
even.
Always nice to see it. Got the Aviano kids back in the mix, and it's nice to see it.
Yes, sir.
Brooke, welcome back. It's been a minute. Forgot to
you.
mention that part.
Yes.
And Halloween wasn't your first episode, but it's one of the first. And isn't it strange we've been doing that for a year, give or take?
Yeah.
Like, holy crap, dude.
Time doesn't feel real.
Yeah.
And it seems like that episode was like a month ago.
Seems like a month,
It's
but
all
also
an
10,000
illusion.
years ago. Last year, I was in a totally different place and very depressed and very scared. And today, I'm just scared. I'm in a great place, but I'm still scared.
Good.
Me too.
So I guess this is growing up. Welcome.
Shit's overrated.
Happy Halloweenies, folks. This has been part 1 or part 2 or both. I don't know. Fry's going to work it out. Maybe I'll do an intro for part 2 at the end. But welcome back to GORP. Subscribe, rate, and review. This is the TheSadFan podcast, a show umbrella. And we'll see you in 2 weeks. Everyone say goodbye. I love you. Halloweenies.
Y'all have a good one, man. Good to see y'all again.
No way.